AI never sleeps, and this week has been absolutely insane. We have not one, but two new open source video generators. We have a new 3D model generator, and this is the best one I've seen so far. This new AI allows you to control both the camera and the movements of the characters in the video. We have a new text-to-speech generator that's super realistic.
Hey there. Why did you just cough? Why did you just sniff?
Why did you just clear your throat?
Why did you just laugh?
Nicely done.
Plus, we have yet another humanoid robot unveiling and a lot more. So let's jump right in. First up, this AI is super powerful. It's called LiveCC, and this can watch videos and generate real-time commentary, like a sports announcer. Here are some examples.
Welcome to the Toyota Center in downtown Houston, Texas. The NBA playoffs are underway. Game 1 of the Western Conference, first round between the number 2 seeded Houston Rockets and the number 7 seed Golden State Warriors. And here's a look at the starting lineups for both teams. Curry, Podziemski, Moody, Butler, Green, Van Fleet, Green, Brooks, Thompson, Sengun. Here is Thompson. Got it. The Rockets lead by 2. Hey guys, today I will show you how to fix a water-damaged laptop. So if you've got a laptop that's been accidentally spilt on, or you've dropped it in a puddle of water, this is what you need to do. First of all, you're going to need some paper towel.
Note that the voice isn't supernatural or dynamic, but this is super accurate and in real time. Once we plug a more expressive dynamic voice model into this, then you can imagine how this could totally replace sports announcers, commentators, or other related jobs. Now, how they trained this model is also pretty intuitive. So they fed it a ton of relevant videos like sports games with commentary, but in addition, they also fed it the transcript of the video. So all this data is used to train the AI, and then after a ton of training, the AI is now able to look at a video and then generate a transcript with a real-time voiceover. The nice thing is, they've released everything, including the models, plus the training data and the training code. So the models are all on Hugging Face, and if you click on this GitHub repo, this contains all the instructions on how to download and use this on your computer. All the links are up here, so I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. Next up, this AI is also super useful. So the paper has a pretty long title, but I guess they're just gonna call this ReflectionFlow, and this is basically a new way to enhance the quality and accuracy of your AI image generations. It does this by using reasoning and refining the image again and again until it matches your text prompt. So here are some examples. Let's say for the prompts you put the large cubic ambulance stood near the small round pillow. And then initially if you get this image, well, the ambulance isn't really large and the pillow isn't really round. So it actually goes through this AI to generate even more images, and at each step the AI kind of inspects the image and looks at the prompt and see if there's anything that needs improvement or needs to be fixed. So after going through multiple rounds of reflection, it finally lands on an image which actually aligns with the prompt. The ambulance is indeed larger and the pillow is round. Or here's another example where the initial prompt is the organ with its smooth finish was adjacent to a matte coffee machine. So here's the initial image. As you can see, it's just an organ, there's no coffee machine present. So after going through several rounds of reflection, it knows to add a coffee machine, but not to blend the two together. And here is the final result. Indeed, we have an organ and a coffee machine next to it. Or here's another example where the prompt is the round leather football rolled near the large metallic snowplow. So here's the initial image. We are completely missing the snowplow, plus you can argue that the football isn't completely round. So after going through several rounds of reflection, it adds a snowplow and then it makes the football round. So you can see how this tool can be especially useful if your prompt is super complex or if it contains objects that are pretty difficult to generate for existing image models. And by the way, this ReflectionFlow is a plugin for Flux One Dev, which is one of the best open source image generators out there. And then really quickly, here's the process on how it works. So your prompt is first fed through this scaling noise component to get Flux to generate multiple images based on your prompt. So it generates all these images in parallel, or basically simultaneously, and then the model would choose the best image based on your prompts. By generating multiple images and choosing the best one, well, you already improve the chance of getting a better and more accurate image. And then there are two components it can go through. The first one is called scaling reflection. So this takes the image and then iteratively refines the image based on your text prompt. So if an object is missing, or if the shape or color or appearance of the object is wrong, then it would keep refining the image until it reaches a photo which actually aligns with your prompt. Now, in addition to refining the image, the model can also use another LLM to enhance your prompt to provide better guidance for the image generation. So in this scaling prompt component, your prompt is compared with the image, and if the image is rejected by the verifier, in other words, if the image does not align with the prompt, then this external LLM would refine the prompt further to give Flux more guidance on how to generate the image correctly. And again, it does so iteratively until eventually it gets an image that aligns with your prompt. So in theory, this should give you a much better and more accurate generation compared to if you just got Flux to generate an image in one go. But of course, with all these additional steps, it does require more compute and more time to generate one image. The good news is they've already released everything. So here's the link to their GitHub repo, which contains all the instructions on how to download and use this locally on your computer. All the links are up here, so if you're interested in trying this out, I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. In other news, this is super exciting. So Tencent just released Hunyuan 3D 2.5. This is by far the best 3D model generator I've seen yet. And here's how you can access it. So for now, you can only access it via their online platform. They haven't open sourced this yet for you to download locally. But since they have open sourced the previous generations of Hunyuan 3D, I'm assuming they will release this soon as well. Anyways, if you want to try this right now, you need to go to Tencent's Hunyuan 3D platform, which I'll link to in the description below. And then here's where you can sign up for a free account. So if you don't have WeChat or QQ, you can still sign up via email. So you would type in your email over here and then click this to receive a verification code. And then you would type in the verification code here and then click agree over here and then click sign up. Okay, once you're in, actually what you can do if you're using Google Chrome is to just right click anywhere on the page and then click translate to English. And then over here, this doesn't really translate properly, but basically, this tab is where you would enter a text prompt and generate a model from that. And then here is where you would upload an image or multiple images. So here is where you would upload the front view, rear view, and left and right views. And then it would generate a 3D model based on these images. So for me, I'm going to upload one image. Let's try this anime girl, which I've generated with Imagen 3, and I specifically chose this example because her outfit and appearance is pretty complex, especially the details of her dress. And then for the model, of course, we are going to go with this latest one, version 2.5, and yes, we are going to generate a PBR map as well. I'll show you what this does in a second, so let's click generate. Alright, here's what we get, and I must say this is one of the best and most detailed image to 3D model generators I've used yet. Look at how realistic everything is, especially the dress. Like, it was able to capture all the details of this. And then if I rotate her to the back, it was able to even guesstimate what the back of this girl looks like, even though it has no information on this from the initial image. So this is a super accurate and powerful 3D model generator. Here is the white mold of the 3D model, so you can choose to apply different textures onto her if you want. And then here's the albedo, basically this defines the color of the model. And then here's the normal, which is basically the orientation of the surface of this model. And again, note how detailed everything is. This is just super impressive. So let me set this back to texture. And then here there are various other settings you can choose from, such as specifying the geometric style of the 3D model. Or over here, you can also change the lighting that you see right now. So if I pause this first, we can adjust the light source and also the color of the spotlight. And if I increase the intensity, you can see that now there is some red light coming from the left side. We can also adjust the light source around, as you can see here. So a super powerful tool. And finally, at the bottom, it gives you various formats for you to download. Here are some generations from other users. So here is the reference image, and note how realistic this 3D model looks. This is insanely detailed, and it looks exactly like the input image. Super impressive. Here's another example where this is the input image, and here's the 3D model from that. Again, super impressive, and note that it was even able to apply some metallic properties to the texture. This is insane. This is definitely the best image to 3D model generator I've come across yet, so definitely try this out. Here's another example, again, super realistic. It's able to generate this character really accurately and consistently. Here's another example where this is the input image, and here's what we get. Super impressive how it's able to predict the back of the character as well, plus the ribbons over here are all connected properly. Everything just looks really good. Now, like I said, they haven't open sourced version 2.5 yet, so you can only use version 2.5 via their online platform, which I'll link to in the description below. Next up, this AI is also super useful. It's called Uni3C, and this allows you to generate videos while controlling both the camera movement and the movement of the characters in the video. So first, here's an example where we only control the camera movement. So first, we just need to input one image, and this AI would turn this image into 3D, and then the user would specify the trajectory of the camera in this 3D space, and then after plugging everything together, it would generate a video based on the camera trajectory. Here's another example where you plug in different input images, but the camera trajectory is the same. So for all these videos, the user has specified for the camera to orbit 360 degrees. And you can see for the most part, everything looks very consistent. Here's another example where the input images are different, but we're specifying the same camera movement. So it's kind of zooming out to the upper left corner and then rotating slightly to the right. Notice how cinematic all these scenes look. Here's another example where we have the same images, but this time the camera is kind of panning in this circular motion. Now, like I said at the beginning, not only can you control the camera, but you can also control exactly how the character moves in the video. So all you need to do is input a reference video of someone moving. So in this case, the video in the upper left corner of this woman dancing would be the reference video, and then it would map her pose and movements onto the characters of your video generations. So you can see all these characters are moving and dancing exactly the same as the woman in the reference video. Here's another example where we are applying the same movement to all these characters in different scenes. And of course, you can control both the camera and the character in the video. So for example, in the top row, we have the same dance movement for this character, but the camera movement is different. Same with the middle row, so the character movement is the same. She's walking along this hiking trail, but the camera movement is different. The first video is kind of panning to the right, whereas the second video is orbiting to the left. And then same with this last row. The soldier follows the same pose, but it's just the camera angle is different. Here's another example. As you can see, this tool is super powerful. It gives you precise control over how the camera and the character moves in the video. And not only can it just transfer the body pose of a reference video, but it can also transfer the hand and finger movements, as you can see here. Really quickly, here's how it works. So you would first input a reference image, which would define the scene in your video. The AI then converts this into a 3D point cloud. This basically extracts 3D information from the photo to understand how the scene would look in 3D. And then the user would specify the trajectory of the camera in this 3D space. This is basically how you want the camera to move for the video. And then it would plug all this data through this PCD controller, which tells the video generator how to move the camera based on this 3D info. And then if you want to also animate and control the movement of the character, then you would plug in a reference video of someone moving or dancing, and it would convert that into this moving 3D human model. And then all of this data is then plugged into this RealisDance DIT model, which maps the reference movements onto this new character. And then both these modules would be combined, so this one would be for the camera control, this one would be for the person's movements. They would be combined into one shared 3D world to generate the video so that everything fits together smoothly. And by the way, it uses Alibaba's Wan as the base video generator. This is the best open source video model we have right now. Anyways, if you scroll up to the top of the page, here it says the code and model are coming soon. So it looks like they are going to open source this, which is fantastic. For now, I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. In humanoid robot news, we have a new robot unveiling at the Auto Shanghai 2025 event. So here you can see this Iron robot by Xpeng Motors. Note that this is an auto event, and Xpeng Motors is primarily an electric vehicle manufacturer. But in addition, they're also building this humanoid robot, which is super interesting. It's kind of like how Tesla is also building Optimus in addition to their cars. So the Xpeng Iron is 178 centimeters tall, and this is designed to walk super naturally like a human. It's powered by Xpeng's proprietary Turing AI chip, which is a processor that's especially designed to handle computations for AI. Now, this Iron robot is already being tested in Xpeng's production lines, so this robot is like assisting with assembling electric vehicles and sorting parts and doing other operations autonomously. It's reported that they plan to mass produce this Iron robot starting next year, and it's estimated to cost around $150,000 per robot. And this is intended to do operations autonomously for warehouses and factories. Thanks to Videohunt AI for sponsoring this video. If you're tired of wasting hours scrubbing through long videos to find the best moments, Videohunt AI solves this instantly. Whether you're a content creator, marketer, or brand looking to boost reach, Videohunt AI helps you find the most engaging moments from any video using simple text prompts. Just describe the moment you're looking for and the AI will instantly pinpoint it from any video. No manual searching, no time wasted. Plus, you can also embed subtitles easily. With just one click, Videohunt AI generates short clips optimized for virality. It's lightning fast, even for videos that are hours long, and works seamlessly across all content types, including podcasts, gaming streams, tutorials, movies, and more. Videohunt AI also has a ton of effortless editing features. You can add animated captions and adjust aspect ratios to suit any platform. Whether you're repurposing content for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or Instagram, this tool helps you do it all in a flash. A huge number of creators are already using Videohunt AI to grow their channels. Try it for free via the link in the description below, and when you're ready to upgrade, for a limited time only, get 90% off your first month. In other news, we have yet another open source video generator this week. It's called Maggie, I guess, and this is by Sand AI. And first, here are some examples. So they claim that this excels at prompt understanding and instruction following. Plus, it can generate realistic and very natural motions. As you can see, this scene is super cinematic. And this is a camera effect that I haven't seen too often for previous video generators, where it first focuses on the character's face, and then the focus changes to the background. Here's a giant eyeball winking in a city, and by the way, this can generate videos up to 1440p in resolution, which is really impressive. And then here's a super realistic and cinematic example of this lady playing a violin. She holds the violin really accurately, plus she's even doing some vibrato with her left hand. This looks super realistic. The only flaw I can spot is that where the bow touches the violin, that part is not really accurate. The really interesting thing about Maggie is that this is an auto-regressive model. This is very different from the standard diffusion model that we've seen with most of the other image and video generators out there, including Stable Diffusion and Flux and Hunyuan and Wan. This is a completely different architecture. In the simplest sense, auto-regressive means the model predicts the next video chunk based on the previous ones, instead of generating the whole video at once. And by the way, this is the architecture that OpenAI's legendary GPT-4o image generator uses as well. It's also an auto-regressive model, so it kind of generates the image from top to bottom instead of just generating the entire image at once. Now, we're not sure if this architecture is the best one to use for video generation or not, but there does seem to be a shift now in exploring auto-regressive models for image and video generation. Anyways, the awesome thing is the models are already out, and this is under the Apache 2 license, which has very minimal restrictions, so you can even use this for commercial purposes. Now, they've released several different models based on parameter size and what hardware you can use to run this. So we have a 24 billion parameter model. This is the largest model, but this requires 8 H100s or H800s to run this, which I'm sure most of you do not have. And then over here, we have another 24 billion parameter model. This time it's distilled, plus it is quantized. However, even with that, it requires 8 RTX 4090s to run this, which is still ridiculous. And then the final one that's actually runnable on consumer-grade hardware is this Maggie 1 4.5 billion parameter model. However, this model is not out yet. This one is pretty much the only one we can use locally, so they said that this can be used on just one RTX 4090. Now, if you happen to have such insane hardware, then all the instructions are down here for you to download and run this. However, if you don't, you can still try this out on their online platform. So it's just sand.ai. I'll link to this page in the description below, but you can simply click try now and then sign up for a free account. And then once you're in, you can start testing Maggie 1. So I've already created 2 video generations. Note that for now, this is only image to video, so not text to video. So I uploaded this photo of a girl at a 7-Eleven at night, and then for the prompt, I put fast zoom up to the girl's face, showing a very scared and surprised expression. She then turns around and starts running away towards the background, trying to escape. The camera follows her as she runs down the street at night. High action, shaky, cinematic. And here's our generation. So first of all, it doesn't really zoom up to the girl's face, and it doesn't really show her scared and surprised expression. There's a lot of noise and warping going on. She doesn't really turn around and start running. She kind of just runs forward, but nevertheless, she does start running pretty quickly, and it is high motion. This is quite a cinematic scene. However, there's just a lot of warping going on as the camera moves around and as the girl starts to run. Now, if you compare the exact same prompt with Kling 2.0, notice that Kling just handles this a lot better. It follows the prompt exactly, it zooms up to the girl's face first and shows a very scared and surprised expression, and then she turns around and starts running away. There's absolutely no warping or inconsistencies with this video. By the way, if you're interested in learning more about Kling 2.0, which is currently the best video generator out there, definitely check out this video. Anyways, back to Maggie, as you can see, it's not as good as Kling 2.0 in terms of high action scenes. Alright, so for my next test, I'm going to upload this image of 2 cat girls, and then I'm going to add plus here, and then I'm going to enter the prompts. I'm just going to write, the girls are dancing. I'm going to set this to 5 seconds in duration. I am going to toggle enhance prompt and high quality on. So let's click generate and see what that gives us. Alright, here's what we get. Notice if I click enhance prompt, then it adds a ton of more details to my prompt. And then they are kind of dancing, but there's a ton of warping going on, especially with the arms and the hands. And the hair and the faces kind of change over time. They don't really look like the same person after 5 seconds. And they don't really look like they're dancing. They're just flinging their arms in the air. Anyways, not too impressive of a generation. And note that I used the same image and prompt with a completely free tool called FramePack, which uses Hunyuan as the base video generator. And for that generation, at least to me, it looks a lot better. The girls indeed look like they're dancing, and everything remains consistent. Their faces don't really change over time. And by the way, this tool is completely free, and you can run this with as low as 4 gigabytes of VRAM, according to some users. If you're interested in learning more about FramePack, definitely check out this video. So anyways, back to Maggie. This is not like extremely impressive compared to what we already have, including Wan and Hunyuan and Kling 2.0, but it's still worth a mention since this is completely open source and this is under the Apache 2 license. For the smallest model, which is the only one that anyone can really use locally, here it says that they are planning to release this by the end of April, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, for now, all the links to the models plus their online platform are all up here, so I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. By the way, Maggie isn't the only video generator that came out this week. We have another one called SkyReels V2. and this is also free and open source. Now, they already had SkyReels version 1 a few weeks ago, which I went over in a previous video, but the consistency of that was pretty mediocre. However, this new version, version 2, has some huge improvements in terms of coherence and prompt following. So here are some of their demos, and note that this can generate super long videos. So this one of a swan is around 28 seconds. Notice how everything looks super realistic, including the ripples of the water and how the swan moves. Here's another example, this time it's of this sea turtle underwater, and this video is 30 seconds in length. So this is much longer than what you can generate with some closed source models like Kling or Hailuo or VO2. And for the most part, everything looks very accurate. And then here's another example of this imaginary jellyfish. Notice especially the details of the anemone and the coral reefs. This is super detailed and realistic. Now, apparently for this diffusion forcing version, which we'll go over in a second, this allows you to generate infinite length videos. So you can, in theory, make super long videos as long as your hardware can handle it. They've released several different variants of version 2. I wish they could just bundle it all into one model, but nevertheless, we have this diffusion forcing model, which can generate infinite length videos, and they've released a 1.3 billion parameter version plus a 14 billion parameter version, which can generate videos of 540p or 720p. Note that there are separate models for that. And then note that even with the 1.3 billion parameter model, it says this requires approximately 15 gigabytes of VRAM. And then if you use the 14 billion parameter model, this requires 51 gigabytes of VRAM, which I assume most of you do not have. So pretty much the only accessible version is this 1.3 billion parameter model. And then in addition to this diffusion forcing version, they've also released a text-to-video model as well as an image-to-video model. And again, you can choose from different parameter sizes. Now, even if you don't have 15 gigabytes of VRAM, you can always try this out online. You can sign up for a free account, and I believe you get 25 credits when you sign up, which is good for only one video. So over here is where you can generate videos. And then here is where you can either upload an image as the start or end frame, or you can just enter in a prompt to describe your video. So I'm going to put a swarm of zombies causing chaos in a shopping mall, shaky camera. So let's click create and see what that gives us. Alright, here's my generation, so you can see the quality isn't really too good, plus they don't really look like zombies. I don't know what's going on with their heads. This doesn't seem to be as good as Hunyuan or some of the other video models I've tested out before. So at least for me, Hunyuan is still the king of open source video, but nevertheless, if you're interested in trying out SkyReels version 2, they have released all the models already. This is completely free and open source. All the links are up here, plus this GitHub repo contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. So if you're interested, I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. Next up, we have a new super realistic text-to-speech generator. It's called Dia 1.6b, which stands for 1.6 billion parameters, and this is by Nari Labs. You can simply input a transcript, and this could be for 2 speakers as well, and it would speak this out. Now you can also upload a reference clip of a voice, and it would clone that voice, which I'll show you in a second. Anyways, here are some of their demos first. So here's the transcript of 2 speakers. Here's what Dia sounds like.
Dia is an open weights text-to-dialogue model.
You get full control over scripts and voices.
Wow, amazing.
Try it now on GitHub or Hugging Face.
Super realistic, and it's even able to portray the laugh. In contrast, let's hear what 11 Labs sounds like with the same transcript.
Dia is an open weights text-to-dialogue model.
You get full control over scripts and voices.
Wow, amazing. Haha.
Try it now on GitHub or Hugging Face.
So that was a pretty awful laugh right there, plus 11 Labs just sounds a lot more robotic. Next, let's hear what Sesame sounds like.
Dia is an open weights text to dialogue model.
You get full control over scripts and voices.
Wow, amazing. Haha.
Try it now on GitHub or Hugging Face.
So again, the laughter is just pretty awful. Now I know that Sesame can do laughter, so it seems like they might be cherry picking the examples here, but nevertheless, let's scroll down to the next example. So here's the next transcript. Let's hear what Dia sounds like.
Hey, how are you doing? Pretty good. Pretty good. What about you?
I'm great. So happy to be speaking to you.
Me too. This is some cool stuff, huh?
Yeah, I have been reading more about speech generation.
Yeah.
And it really seems like context is important.
Definitely.
Again, super realistic and natural. Let's hear the same transcript, but from 11 Labs.
Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. What about you?
I'm great. So happy to be speaking to you.
Me too. This is some cool stuff. Huh?
Yeah, I have been reading more about speech generation.
Yeah,
And it really seems like context is important.
definitely.
So 11 Labs, as you can hear, sounds way more robotic. Next, let's hear what Sesame sounds like.
Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. What about you?
I'm great. So happy to be speaking to you.
Me too. This is some cool stuff, huh?
Yeah, I've been reading more about speech generation.
Yeah,
And it really seems like context is important.
definitely.
So Sesame actually sounds pretty good as well. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. Alright, here are some fun examples where we input coughs and sniffs and clears throat plus some laughter. Let's see if Dia can handle this.
Hey there. Why did you just cough? Why did you just sniff?
Why did you just clear your throat?
Why did you just laugh?
Nicely done.
So it handled that beautifully. It's really hard to tell that this is AI. Here's a rap example. Let's hear what Dia sounds like.
His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy.
There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti.
He's nervous, but on the surface, he looks calm and ready
to drop bombs, but he keeps on forgetting.
What he wrote down, the whole crowd goes so loud.
He opens his mouth, but the words won't come out.
He's choking how? Everybody's joking now.
Alright, so that sounds a bit more robotic. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can also input an audio clip of someone's voice to clone. So here's the transcript, and then here's the audio prompt. So this is the voice that we want to portray. Let's hear the original voice first.
Open Wait's text-to-dialogue model. You get full control over scripts and voices.
Alright, so next we're going to get this AI to continue this transcript based on these two voices. So let's hear what that sounds like.
I'm biased, but I think we clearly won.
Hard to disagree.
Thanks for listening to this demo.
Try it now on GitHub and Hugging Face.
If you liked our model, please give us a star and share to your friends.
This was Nari Labs.
Pretty good. It was able to clone these two voices just from like 3 seconds of audio, which is super impressive. Now, these are their own demos, which could be cherry-picked, so let's test this out ourselves. The nice thing is they've released a free Hugging Face space for you to try this out online. So it's pretty straightforward to use. Here's where you would input a transcript, and you could input 2 separate voices if you want. And then you can also drop an audio clip of someone's voice who you want to clone. For now, I'm going to leave this empty and just use their default voices. So I'm going to press generate audio, and it looks like it only takes like 20 seconds to generate this. Alright, let's hear what this sounds like with their default voices.
Dia is an open weights text-to-dialogue model. You get full control over scripts and voices. Wow, amazing. Try it now on GitHub or Hugging Face.
Alright, so not as impressive as their own demos, but nevertheless, let's try something else. So I'm going to upload an audio clip of myself. Let me play this for you first. Which piece of news was your favorite, and which tool are you most looking forward to trying out? Alright, so that's my original input voice. Now for the transcript, I'm gonna put this. Let's click generate audio and see what that gives us. Okay, let's play this.
Too good to my channel.
Yikes, that sounds absolutely awful. It's not even reading out the full text. Let me try to get rid of this cough and see if it's any better. Okay, let's play this.
This is a test to see how good Dia is.
Also, remember to subscribe to my channel.
Yikes, that does not sound like me at all. Plus, it's not really reading the transcript correctly. Now, instead of my voice, let's try this old woman. I'm going to play you the original voice first.
皇上请三思，皇后娘娘都是为了万岁爷着想。
And for the transcript, let's try this. So I'm going to click generate, and let's see what that gives us.
What do we do, people? The smoke could be coming through an air duct. Oh my god. Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. No, no. If you touch the handle, if it's hot, there might be a fire down the hall.
Okay, it's not too bad, but it doesn't sound exactly like her voice. Let's try another example this time. Let's try a cuter female voice. So here's the original voice.
You've been working so hard lately. How about I give you a relaxing shoulder massage?
Okay, and then for the prompt, let me also input exactly what she says in this audio prompt to see if it's any better. Okay, here's what we get.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. No! If you touch the handle, if it's hot, there might be a fire down the hallway.
Again, I'm not too impressed by this. This does not sound like the original voice at all. So, from my initial tests, it's not nearly as good as the demos. Anyways, they've released everything already, so here's their GitHub repo with all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. You'll need a CUDA GPU for now. They say that CPU support will be added soon, and the VRAM requirements are around 10 gigabytes. The nice thing is this is under the Apache 2 license, which has very minimal restrictions. Now I'll continue testing this further and see if it's worthy for a full video, but just from my initial tests, the results aren't great. It's definitely not as good as Sesame or some of the other text-to-speech generators I've tested before, like F5 TTS or Zonos. But nevertheless, if you want to try this out, I'll link to this GitHub repo in the description below for you to read further. Next up, we have an exciting update from Alibaba Wan this week. As you may know from my previous videos, Wan is currently the best open source video generator out there. Now, you could download this and run it locally on your computer if you have a good enough GPU. In fact, I already did a full installation tutorial, so see this video if you're interested. However, if you don't have a good enough GPU, then you can also use it via their online platform. Now, the good news is, this week, they've announced this. All users can have access to free unlimited generations. If you use relax mode, which I'll show you in a second, you get totally free and unlimited free generations. Now, of course, you do need to wait a bit longer if you're using relax mode. But hey, it's completely free and unlimited. So you just need to go to wan.video and then click on this AI videos tab, and then over here there are several options. You can either input a text prompt and generate a video from that, or you can upload an image to use as the start or end frame of the video. For me, I'm just going to try text to video, and then let's try this prompt, a group of puppies learning to become chefs. You can click on Enhance Prompts if you want to add even more details to your prompt, but I'm just going to leave this as is. And then here are the different aspect ratios. For inspiration mode, apparently this enriches the visuals and improves expressiveness of the video. You can also add sound effects if you want, but I'm just going to leave this off. And then note that here is where you select either relax mode or credit mode. If you select relax mode, you can generate this for free. So let's click generate. All right, here's what we get. A super realistic video of a group of puppies kind of learning to become chefs. I mean, they are wearing aprons, they are in a kitchen, but it seems like instead of actually cooking and making the food, they're just eating the food. So that's basically how you use it. It's pretty straightforward. I'll link to this page in the description below if you're interested in generating videos for free. I'm not sure how long this promo will last, so definitely take advantage of this. Next up, this AI is also pretty useful. So it's called Anim Portrait 3D, and this can create 3D heads from just a text prompt, which you can animate. So here's an example. If the prompt is woman, white hair, and black skin, portrait off-shoulder top, wide leg pants for a rooftop bar night, here's what we get. Or here's a teen boy with pensive look, dark hair, preppy sweater, collared shirt, here's what we get. Or here's a sophisticated silver-haired Caucasian woman in her 60s, etc., etc., and here's the 3D head for that. Or here's a middle-aged Hispanic man with a strong jawline and a bushy black mustache and a receding hairline. Note that the final output of this AI is just a 3D head. There's no audio and it's not actually speaking anything. So you'll need to plug it into another lip sync tool or motion transfer tool to actually get them to speak. Here are some examples of these 3D heads lip synced to an audio clip.
This required to love is also vulnerable. It means you can also let in things like fear and it feels risky.
The story, this is more like female empowerment. This is Clara is saving the four.
Comment. That was very nice.
I meant it.
Thank you. I really appreciate
so I don't know if Ian's going to be in any future Star Wars projects, but is there a character in the sequel trilogy, whether it be Kylo?
Now, if I were to be super critical of this, while this is a cool AI that can generate a 3D head from just a text prompt, I actually prefer generating a photo of a face first using an image generator like high dream or flux or stable diffusion, and then plugging that into a lip sync tool like Live Portrait. This image generation process gives me a lot more control over how I want the face to look like. Plus, Live Portrait can just lip sync this image right out of the box. I don't need to create a 3D head from this. If you're interested in learning more about Live Portrait, see this video if you haven't already. But anyways, back to Anim Portrait 3D, it's still a very powerful tool, and if you compare this with other similar 3D head generators, then you can see that this new one is just a lot more accurate and coherent. Plus, because this generates 3D heads, you can potentially view this head at various angles, giving you a ton of flexibility. Anyways, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they've already released a GitHub repo, which contains all the instructions on how to download and use this locally on your computer. Notice that at least for now, it requires a CUDA GPU with at least 24 gigabytes of VRAM. All the links are up here, so I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. And that sums up all the highlights in AI this week. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Which piece of news was your favorite, and which tool are you most looking forward to trying out? As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you, so if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week, I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel, so to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.